And everyone can hear me? You can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Awesome. Well, I'm Kelly Schmidt. I'm not going to say too much about myself, but I'm a proud board member with JDRF, and I'm excited to share a little bit of my talent, I guess, if that's what I'm going to call it, as I just love nutrition, and I came to that because of type 1 diabetes. So today's topic seems a little cosmetic, if that's the right word, the secrets and truth around fat loss. And it's an interesting time to talk about this, but everything I'm going to share about fat loss will relate to wellness, and everything that supports our wellness will support our immune system. So this will be applicable to all things that are current right now. Let's see if I can slide correctly. I'll move that. All right, so growing up, I earned the nickname Stubbs, and to no surprise, it wasn't because I was short. In second grade, I was also diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, where I have to use an insulin pump or take 5 to 10 shots a day to stay alive. This condition didn't happen because I was overweight. It's an autoimmune disease that I couldn't prevent. But why am I telling you this? And I know a percentage of you on this call perhaps have type 1 diabetes too. But the secret to fat loss is about working with our hormones. And as someone with type 1 diabetes, where it's 3 times harder to lose weight, I get it. And as a dietitian in private practice since 2012, I've seen what works and what lasts. We're going to go much deeper than calorie counting and macro counting today. I'm going to offer you successful strategies to lose fat. So overall, we don't lose weight to get healthy. And this is something I emphasize a lot with clients. We first need to get healthy to lose weight. Fat loss happens when we're healthy, and it happens when we work with our hormones. And of course, fat loss, it goes beyond our plate. It's what's off our plate. We need to look at what we're eating, but what's also eating us. And with this, I always start off, and I know I've shared it with some of you that are actually listening right now, but a story about this guy named Sam Feltham, and he's a director in the UK, and he did an experiment on himself, and granted, this isn't an experiment or study that was published in a well-known journal, but it was a really, real person counting calories and seeing how it affects his body. But what he did, do you think if I ate 6,000 calories for 21 days, would I gain weight? Most people would think yes. And this guy, Sam Feltham, took it upon himself to do it. And he actually did the experiment 2 times. So for 21 days, he ate 6,000 calories. For his height and weight, his basal metabolic rate required about 2,000 calories. So he basically increased his energy needs through food threefold. After 21 days, you'll see he gained almost 3 pounds. But as he ramped up his calories, he actually melted fat off his body. His waist reduced by 1.2 inches, and that's a lot. And overall, his body fat percentage decreased. So as he increased his calories, his metabolism increased, it mobilized fat cells on his body and burned it off through increased body temperature and more. The first time he did this experiment, he did it through eating real food. He mainly bumped up his caloric intake with real whole healthy fats through avocados, olive oil, high quality animal protein, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and so forth. But as you can see, he dropped body fat by ramping up his calories. In the world of eat less and move more, you would think if he ramped his calories up that much, 1 pound is equal to, in air quotes, 365 or 360 calories. You think it would be much higher. So I said, all right, now that I've done this experiment once and showed that I can lose fat by increasing my calories, I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it, in air quotes, a healthy American diet. So he did it again. 6,000 calories, counted precisely. And this time his breakfast consisted of things like cereal. His lunch was a standard sandwich. For snacks, he had 0% Greek yogurt and liquid calories like juice and soda. And for dinner, he had a pasta vegetable dish with some meat. So after this time, exact same experiment, he gained almost 16 pounds. His waist inflated almost 4 inches and his body fat went up. So what's the story here? What's the takeaway? It goes to the first thing I said in this presentation. Weight loss and weight gain and weight maintenance is all about working with our hormones. As he ate that cereal, he spiked his blood sugar. And as someone with type 1 diabetes, this is a dangerous thing. But someone who doesn't have type 1 diabetes, your body wants to eradicate that immediately. So the body produced insulin and right away stored that sugar as fat. So it's a matter of working with our hormones. So now that I've told this story about Sam Feltham, it helps really lay into the fact, like, don't rely on MyFitnessPal or, tediously counting your calories or your macros. It comes down to the quality of what we're eating and when. Eating less and moving more only succeeds in 1 in 200 men and 1 in 100 women. Overall, the failure rate is 99%. And I know through seeing my clients, when they come to me and they're on a caloric restriction diet and they're working with a trainer, usually the trainer provides some meal plan for them. The calories are so darn low, 1,200, 1,400 calories, way too low. They do lose weight, they do lean out, and they feel successful, but it's always short term. And usually the rebound is much higher than the baseline of weight. Overall, there's other ways to target our fat cells, and that's using real food as a template. And overall, the 4 specific things I want to talk about are sleep, protein, IF, which is known as intermittent fasting, and don't be scared of that. Let me explain. And of course, gut health. Gut health is the key focus with what I look at in my health as a type 1 diabetic, as anybody with an autoimmune disease, including type 1 diabetes. We have some form of a condition called leaky gut. This is work by Dr. Fasano. He said all autoimmune diseases have, one of 3 pillars. That's genetics, there's a stressor, and then the third is a form of a leaky gut. I was diagnosed in 1991 on my birthday in 2nd grade, and it was weeks after I had a really bad case of the flu. So that was my stressor, but I had some form of a leaky gut going on. And in 2009, it was the first time I experimented with my diet in a sense, and I pulled gluten out of my diet, and I for once felt in front of my diabetes control. I could predict it a lot better. So I'm kind of going on a tangent and putting the cart before the horse, but gut health is essential in wellness, and it's essential in fat loss. If our gut's inflamed, our body's inflamed, and it's not going to be like, hey, let's lose weight. We need a happy internal body for our body to calibrate to an optimal weight. So let's dive into sleep. Of course, I look kind of like a goofball here, but these are actually blue blocker glasses that I bought off Amazon. And in my private practice, not so much now that I have a 4 and 6-year-old, but before children, I had a lot of night counseling meetings. And when I would stare at the computer and work with clients, I would be wide awake because the screen light from our computer, from the TV, from our phone, it actually basically melts down the melatonin production that we need to fall asleep. But if we wear these blue blockers, it helps protect our melatonin. So these glasses are, $10 to $15, and they're worth purchasing if you have a hard time falling asleep at night. But overall, if we're sleep deprived, we are going to reach for the more processed and saltier foods by about 400 extra calories a day. If we're trying to lose weight, the first thing to focus on is optimal and ideal sleep. There was a study done in 2015, it was 2016, on 15 healthy individuals in their 20s. And they put these 15 people in a sleep lab. For 8 nights, they were measured their glucose, lab values, calories were counted, so there was a constant of diet. And the first 4 nights, they said, sleep your adequate, optimal sleep. And they took measurements. The next 4 nights, they sleep deprived these healthy individuals to 4.5 hours of sleep a night. At the end of that study, those 4 nights straight of 4.5 hours, which I can totally relate to, especially having newborns or, my CGM or my, back when I was on a pump, I'm on a pump break and have been for a few years, pump beeping, it's so normal not to sleep at night. Unfortunately, it can happen. But by the end of the study, sleep depriving them 4 nights for 4.5 hours, their insulin resistance went up by 30%. And this metabolically aged them 10 to 20 years. And granted, I'm type 1 diabetes, and some of you on this call may understand type 1 diabetes pretty well. we do have a broken pancreas. We have no working beta cells producing insulin, but we are still a candidate of insulin resistance. And in fact, there's something called double diabetes where type 1 diabetics have so much insulin resistance, it's almost like our body's acting like type 2. But overall, a healthy individual can have insulin resistance as well. And there's different levels of it, and there's different causes, and sleep's a big one. Another one is stress. Another one's processed eating, and so forth. But that's another talk. Maybe I'll be back. All in all, if we don't sleep, we eat more, and we eat more of the processed stuff. We hormonally stress our body and create more cortisol and insulin resistance in our body. Overall, if somebody's sleep deprived on average for 2 weeks, and let's say it's, me, I was doing a lot of Orange Theory, not right now, but when I did Orange Theory, there were, at first, I would do the early morning classes. I then adjusted my schedule and did them later in the day, but I would be depriving myself of more sleep just to get in that really good workout. But I was burning my wick at both ends, and research shows for 2 weeks, if you're a little sleep deprived, you're going to turn your fat cell weight loss off by 55%. So the moral of the story on this point is, if you want to improve your wellness and reduce fat on your body, make sure you're getting enough sleep and not waking up early for that workout, sacrificing an hour of sleep you need. So go to bed earlier if you want to hit it in the morning. I talked about nighttime light, hence the glasses in this video. And overall, in Chinese medicine and in research, our liver regenerates from 11 to 2 a.m. And ideally, if we want to allow our body to heal, if we want our liver, our fat burning organ, to optimally work, we need to close our eyes and be asleep close or previously before that 11 a.m. And I tell clients, try to hit the 10 a.m. mark. It's a good, healthy time to be in bed. And I usually make a goal. It's been slipping a little bit, but I make a goal of 9:15, 9:30 to get in bed to do some reading or what I may be doing. Overall, if you can't change the quantity, the number of hours you're sleeping, it's just as important to focus on quality. A lot of cues there. So the way we can update the quality of our sleep is the glasses. I lived in Chicago on a pretty busy road, and since that was 2016 and before, and those years, I adapted to having a fan on my room for white noise. I had blackout curtains for a very dark room, and I also slept with an eye mask and earplugs. I look like a crazy lady going to bed, but it helps the quality of my sleep, and it can help yours. So think about what you can adjust in your bedroom to improve the quality of your sleep. And also the temperature really matters too. It's a really good sleeping temperature, low 60s, which sounds cold, but the colder our body, the deeper our sleep and the less sleep we may need. If you ever go tent camping, you may be able to relate to that tactic. The next topic I want to touch on is protein. Protein is so important for, boosting our metabolism. It's also important for blood sugar control. I had a client, I'm hosting a 10 days of free wellness on Facebook, and I'll have more information about that on my last slide. But right now I had a client, they're like, okay, I know I should be eating protein every day, but should I be spreading it out throughout my meals? And the answer is yes. We want to have a base of protein at every meal. And if you wanted to do a quick calculation, you would take your current weight. So let's say I weigh 100 pounds. I would multiply that by 0.75. And that would tell me I need about 75 grams of protein a day. And ideally, it's good to spread that out in each meal. However, one caveat, let's say if you're like, I just don't really like animal protein, or I'm not able to get that much protein, it doesn't feel right or whatnot. Research has shown, especially research out of weight loss research out of Harvard, shows it's most important for your first meal of the day to have a solid base of at least 25 grams of protein, as it hormonally sets you up for the day to eat fewer snacks and fewer calories overall. Again, this is not a calorie gain, but it's about being calorie aware, but not calorie obsessed. But protein is really important. And overall, if you look at the palm of your hand, it's between 20 and 30 grams of protein. So that's kind of your measuring tool every time you eat a meal. So you want protein the width and the length of your palm. And if you're very active, you want 1 to 2 palm-sized portions of protein at every meal. And this will help set you up to go from one meal to the next without having a bunch of snacks or having to eat 6 small meals, which actually defeats weight loss and blood sugar control because we stack insulin doing that. But overall, protein is very important. And at the bottom here, you see I have the word breakfast, but broken down to break a fast, I want to highlight that the first meal of the day is the most important meal of the day, but we do not need to roll out of bed and eat it within 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, dogma we've been fed from the media that we need to eat right when we wake up. We need to eat when we're hungry. And that's our best tool, is really tuning into our body with what hunger is and having a meal when that comes. And I think as I'm leading this 10 days of wellness, we're on day 8, but I was like, oh, I'm going to have a smoothie for breakfast. And I was like, I'm just going to make a small one since I'm not that hungry. And I had to stop myself. I'm like, why am I going to make a small smoothie? I'm going to wait till I'm truly hungry and have a well-rounded smoothie with plenty of protein, healthy fat and fiber, and something green. But just know you don't need to roll out of bed and race to the kitchen to get your metabolism revving, because that's by no means true. And just use common sense. Like our ancestors years and years and years ago, they didn't wake up to a kitchen. They had to usually hunt for their food. Our body is not designed to eat immediately, and so forth. The next topic, which I somewhat touched on in the protein slide, is fasting. And fasting can sound scary. We have been taught, again, by, I think, the media and a lot of the food industry to fear hunger. Like, hungry, grab a Snickers. I'm thinking of the Pringles. Can't pop. You can't stop once you pop. I'm messing that up, but I think you guys know what I mean. But we shouldn't fear hunger. Hunger is a very healthy and natural thing, and hunger is actually the best ingredient for a meal. We appreciate our meal much more when we show up with an appetite. There's one good tip in nutrition, and it's every time you feel a sensation of hunger, wait 30 minutes for that meal to first decide or know that it's true hunger, not emotional hunger, but so that meal's much more appreciated, and it does you better. But overall, fasting, what I see best with my clients and personally with type 1 diabetes is eating with the sun. And also with this tactic, when the sun's high in the sky, when it's highest in the sky, that's usually when our body digests the meal the best. So lunch is ideal to have our largest meal. That's not typically the trend, especially in the US, but ideally, if we want to work on our weight loss, on our health, on our hormone balance, on our digestion, try to make your lunch bigger so your lunch or your dinner doesn't have to be as much. I mentioned meals versus snacks, 6 meals a day versus 3. And research shows that we do better hormonally, blood sugar wise, and weight loss focusing on 3 well-rounded meals versus having multiple snacks. And I know even when I was on my insulin pump, and some of you on this call may have an insulin pump, you'll see if there's still circulating insulin when you do have snacks, when you go into your next meal. And that's stacking insulin. And when our body relies on the calories coming in, it doesn't ever rely on the calories on our hips. And we want to train our body to basically be like a Prius. We want our body to be a hybrid. We don't want it to be a Hummer. We don't want to just keep waiting for that fuel to come in and burn it up. We want to utilize the fuel in our body and the fuel from our food. And we can succeed at this by eating 3 well-rounded meals, maybe 1 afternoon snack, but we don't need that morning snack. We surely don't need that nighttime snack. And following this pattern or this practice or this routine is a form of fasting. And another thing I want to mention is when we kind of shift how we eat. So let's say, Christy's like, oh, Kelly, I have a morning snack and I have breakfast. And I'm making this up. Christy did not tell me this. And she has all these snacks. I would tell her to reduce one at a time as our appetite is trained. If we're always eating at 3 p.m., our body's anticipating that. So it's going to feel uncomfortable at first to drop them. But as we drop snacks, that means your meals need to be solid. Have that base of protein on the palm-sized portion of your hand. I always tell clients, fill half of your plate with fiber from produce, fruits, vegetables, even lentils, legumes, beans. And so you want protein, fiber. You want healthy fat. Fat provides satiety. Fat's good for our gut. Fat helps us lose fat. And you want something green. That's a little extra credit, but our body has to be nourished to lose weight. If we are lacking certain nutrients, our body's not going to lose weight. And when we do have cravings, that can be a craving stemming from a deficiency. And in the US, research will show we are overfed but undernourished. And that's because we're eating a lot of calories that that don't have a lot of nutrition. So I'm not saying eat perfect. Trust me, I struggle too. I'm human. Food is pleasure. But I am saying eat more real food most of the time. Make it the dominant thing and enjoy, 20%, 10% of those pleasurable things. With fasting, one thing to point out with males and females, and I do want to say before you just start fasting, do your research, understand it well. I do have some resources on my website, but females, we're more fragile. We grow humans, and fasting can affect us more profoundly in a negative way than men. So men can easily probably fast. Men do better, not probably, I'm using weak words. Men do better when they fast longer. And that's because they don't have a delicate hormone system. So just know, females, tread lightly, listen to your body. Don't try to, meet some goal of fasting 13 hours overnight. Listen to your body and what it needs, and go lightly, go slow, and give yourself grace. Does anyone have any questions? I think this might be a good time to pause. Anybody? I don't think so. Christy, pop in if anyone has questions. And you know what? I did turn my phone off, so I'm gonna turn it on just in case you're trying to message me. Hopefully you're all still there. So the next thing I want to talk about is gut health. And I touched on this when I had the slide of the 4 points I want to mention in fat loss. And here's a study. There is a study done on twins, 77 pairs, is a good amount of twins. And they found in the study that one twin was obese and one was not. Those who were obese had very different gut bacteria than their non-obese twin. And this shows us that our gut health has such an influence on our physical body. Overall, obesity is associated with lower gut bacteria diversity. And this is an opportunity for me to recommend that, we rotate our diet. You don't want to eat the same things every day, day in and day out. Make sure you rotate what you consume. Furthermore, I mentioned this already, hunger is driven by micronutrient requirements, and make sure you're eating more real food than not, so you're getting nutrient needs. And when I first started my private practice in 2012, I wasn't a big believer or user of high quality supplements, but in a modern world where we have high expectations and a lot of stress, I think supplements are very necessary. And most of my clients, and myself included, are on certain specific supplements that I would target for their needs, but definitely a probiotic. At least 75% of us have food sensitivities. And if we have an autoimmune disease, we very much likely fall into this group. I do blood testing with, I hope I'm going okay. I see something going on with the Zoom. I think I'm good. Christy, text me if something's up. I do use blood testing with my clients. It's called MRT Leap, and it's good. It cuts to the chase, but you can identify what foods you tolerate well just by tuning into your body, even using pen and paper and keeping a food journal and looking for trends of when you feel bloated and so forth. With food sensitivities, I want to mention, if I eat something, which I actually tried back in one of my foods that was flagged on my MRT test last week or this week, if we eat something, the symptoms may not show up immediately, and likely they won't. Symptoms will show up for 24 hours, 4 hours to 72 hours later. And I was trying out almonds, a very healthy food. Like, why wouldn't I think I tolerate them? They're one of the healthiest nuts, but I don't. My gut does not like them. And I tried them, and 3 days later, I had the biggest, sourest stomach. So I don't tolerate them overall as I went around the process of going through my food sensitivity protocol. But as I mentioned, supplements that are good are pre and probiotics. Overall, stick with a diet and eat foods that are real food and good healthy fats. And this program that I'm leading right now, the 10 Days of Free Wellness with Kelly, I usually suggest as an optional detox program with it, using real food, just because we should filter out the herbicides, the pesticides, and the toxins that we consume year after year. I saw questions pop up. Let's see here. Chat. Type your questions. Sorry, everyone. I had a little bit of Wi-Fi issues. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, guys. My Wi-Fi kind of went out there, so I'm sorry if you guys experienced any technical difficulties. I don't see any open questions right now. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them into that Q&A right down there at the bottom of your screen. And again, I'm sorry for the internet issues.
All good. Hopefully everyone's still saw me.
It looks like everyone's still on, so
Okay. Please.
yep.
Good. And I'm just about done too. So back on cue. Sorry about that, Christy. So it's really important that we do some form of cleansing and nothing hardcore, nothing uncomfortable. And it sounds, again, as a type 1 diabetic, if you're type 1 and watching, I was always so scared of detoxes because I didn't know what would happen. But the one I like is from Standard Process, a very gentle program, and it's just using a powder and smoothies twice a day. And it's really good because, the more cleansed our liver is, the better our blood sugar control, the better we can lose weight, and our body works overall. Next slide. So overall, take action. Take 10 minutes to write down, like, what can you start, what can you stop, and what can you continue for your health after hearing this little bit of information. As I mentioned, track your intake, and, one, it can make you accountable, just, tracking what your food is on pen and paper. And also just look for trends. Do you feel bloated? Does your blood sugar do weird things when you eat certain ingredients? Going back to gluten, when I eat gluten, even if I get cross-contaminated by mistake, my blood sugars go very wonky. And if your blood sugar is spiking, that's an indication that your gut does not like that thing. Overall, vitamins, ask for help. Feel free to email me if you want me to review what you're taking, and I can give you some input. Source real food. Read your ingredient list of the foods you have in your pantry and freezer and fridge, and go for things that don't have refined grains, refined sugar, food dyes, or chemicals the best you can. And don't be afraid to ask for help. We are in hard times right now, but we're all in it together, in a sense. Lean on each other, use each other. And overall, our fork is the most powerful tool to transform our health. And as I mentioned, I am hosting or leading a free day, 10 days of wellness right now, but I'm going to do it again June 1st as we are loosening physical distancing restrictions. I don't think there's enough emphasis on talking about how to make ourselves healthy as possible. The point of physical distancing was to lower the curve, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get COVID. And not to sound pessimistic, but arm yourself, strengthen your body, strengthen your immune system with nourishment. And I thought, why don't I just do this again? Why not? I also, I think, put out a pretty good Sunday morning newsletter. I try to make every word count in that. I do not spam people if I have their emails, but that's a good tool that you're welcome to subscribe to. And you can do that by going to my website and subscribing, or just send me an email and I can get you added to that, as well as the free 10-day program. And then on Instagram, I'm pretty active. You can find me at Diabetic Dietitian. I see a question. The Sunday newsletter is really great. Thanks, Mary.
There's a question in the question box if you're ready for questions.
I don't see it.
Oh, I can read it to you. It's no big deal. This is from Lynn. Can you talk about types of protein and peptides?
I think she's asking me about the protein and collagen peptides. Collagen peptides is a protein powder that I really like using in smoothies. And it's a protein that most people tolerate. And it's a really easy protein for our body to absorb. I guess the one con with collagen peptides is it's not a complete protein, so it won't have all the essential amino acids, meaning all the amino acids our body can't make. But it's a really good protein source for absorption, to bump up protein in a meal very easily. And collagen peptides also help heal our gut. So it's an ongoing good maintenance ingredients to support our health.
Okay.
I hope that answered
it. Are there any other questions? You can go ahead and type them now. I don't see any new ones.
I did have one more slide. This is, I think,
the
last
go ahead.
last but not least, it's hard times. I know most of my family and many friends are in retail and going through pay cuts, but if you can, pay it forward. And JDRF has furloughed some really good people. I feel like I'm going to get emotional. But if you can donate, please consider doing so, because our charity definitely needs it.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. And on that note too, I'll tell you, we do have, our gala was going to originally be this weekend. And unfortunately, with everything going on, we cannot be together. However, we're hosting a virtual gala May 28th through 30th. Jessica Boyd, who's kind of my counterpart, she's working hard on getting the details finalized. So expect to see more soon. Follow our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter for more information on that. Let me check the questions one more time. I don't see any other questions.
No more questions?
Nope, I don't see any.
Okay. I may add one thing in closing. Nutrition's hard, and food's really easy to rely on for comfort. And just make sure you're celebrating the small wins. Like when you do choose the harder choice with food, a meal, a snack or not snack, and so forth, celebrate those small wins and really keep your mind around those good choices, as that will help propel you to make more and more good choices. And give yourself grace. You know, we have very high expectations for ourselves, especially with type 1 diabetes. We're surrounded by numbers, but know that those numbers don't define you, and that you're worthy, and that we're going to get through this. So I kind of rambled there, but I give you guys
Okay.
my email as I did go through, but
we did have one more question come in from Tina. What is a good probiotic to use?
Sure. You want to use a probiotic that has on the label that it's been third-party tested. I personally use a soil-based probiotic from Designs for Health, and soil-based probiotics are a lot harder to find. I actually only know of 2 brands, and they have to go through a health practitioner. So if that's something, I can easily order and have that shipped for you. But those are my favorite because soil-based probiotics are the most natural form of probiotics, but they also can handle a lot of resistance from, stomach acid, extreme temperatures in our body, and they can help flourish more good gut bugs. Some probiotics, again, I don't want to hate on Costco, but even like going to a vitamin shop, the probiotics on the shelves could very likely be dead. Probiotics are usually the most picky product, one of the more picky supplement products that I am a little more loyal about certain brands. Again, I like Designs for Health. The other one's called Megaspore. But probiotics I'm pretty picky about.
Great question.
It's really good and common.
All right. Well, I don't see any other questions.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me for you. And don't be a stranger. I hope you stay well and get some positives out of all of this if possible, and support JDRF if it's something you're able to do.
Thank you, Kelly. And thank you everyone for coming on. We do have two more virtual sessions coming up. May 14th, we have kind of the title escapes me right now. I should know this. Kind of like T1D and COVID and kind of psychosocial kind of session with some doctors from Nationwide Children's Hospital. You don't have to be a child to be on that though, so feel free to join us. And we also have an off to college session with Tanner Barton on May 20th. So if you have a T1D that's in high school getting ready for college, feel free to join us there too. Or if you just want to hang out and listen in on the presentation, you're welcome to do that as well. So thank you everyone for being here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we hope to kind of see you again soon. Thank you.
Bye guys, take care.
Bye.